Black Ops 4 has been out for well over a week now, and one thing a lot of people really want to do is go after dark matter camo. The hardest part about this, or at least one of the hardest things to do, is get long shots. I was inspired to make this video because at first I was having trouble with long shots, so I looked up a few videos that had various tips about sights and attachments that could shorten the required range, but it didn't seem to be making any difference. So I spent an entire day of my time in private matches testing out all sorts of attachments and sight combinations. Things I've heard have been using a recon or dual zoom scope reduces the range you need, like in Black Ops 3. There was basically an exploit with the Varric sight that allowed you to get long shots from a closer than intended range. I also heard that using a suppressor would reduce the range required to get long shots, and even using long barrel would increase the range you need to be for long shots. After hours of testing and looking for sights, I can say for certainty that it's all false. You get long shots one way in Black Ops 4, being at or further than the required distance. That's it. There is no way to cheat this system. However, there are definitely ways to make this easier on yourself, which includes knowing all the right lines of sight for every single match, which I will show you in this video. Some of these have just a single line of sight, but some also have multiple. I know these also might not be the only lines of sight to get long shots on these maps, but I find them to be the most reliable. I've tested them thoroughly and I've had a lot of success doing it. First, let's take a brief look at the required distance for long shots. Assault rifles don't require as long of range as snipers, but they also share that range with TAC rifles and LMGs as well. This should give you an idea of what's required. Now that being said, it's also recommended that you do these on hardcore domination because you will have predictable spawns, but also be able to get those kills at long ranges pretty fast. For your class setup, you will want to put a grip on all weapons that you can, along with the furthest zoom sight that you can. I also checked all of these lines of sight from the perspective of an assault rifle, so the ones that might still give you some trouble are snipers. I know the jungle, icebreaker, and Morocco lines of sight should work well for snipers. If you continue to have a lot of trouble with snipers, just leave me a comment and I can try to make a shorter update video with all of the spots I found that for sure work well with snipers. Now let's get into the best lines of sight for longshot medals on each map. And these are in alphabetical order just in case you want to skip ahead. Starting with Arsenal, this has just one line of sight that I found reliable for getting long shots. Looking out this window or into this window from the other side, you'll want to try and shoot enemies that are near the jet statue cover. And also be sure to back up all the way against the wall to give yourself the most distance. If you shoot enemies that are closer than this, you could miss out on getting a long shot medal. The same goes for shooting at the enemy from the statue and into the window. Any closer and a long shot medal might not pop up. A common place that enemies peek from is the flower bed in front of the statue, but that is not a long enough distance. Jet statue to the window is your best bet on this map. Next up is Contraband. This line of sight is the most common I've seen recommended for getting long shots. If you're looking out this window across the B flag, you'll see a box to the left, but this is not always far enough to get a long shot. You'll once again want to press your back against the wall behind you to get the most distance and try to shoot an enemy before they make it to the box for cover. If you shoot an enemy using the box to the right for cover, it will count as a long shot even if you're as close to the window as you can get. You can also shoot from the other side into this window to get a long shot, and you also have more flexibility from that side. Our third map is Firing Range. This one has two really good lines of sight for long shots, but both of them have one point in common. If you're on the C flag side, facing towards the A spawn, you have a very clear line of sight for getting long shots. You can attempt to use the sandbags for cover, but they will reduce the odds of getting a long shot if an enemy runs too close. If you stay back by the blue barrel for cover, you have a better chance at getting the long shot medal to pop up. From this same spot, if you turn and look to the right, there will be a lane that is often used for flanking the C flag. You can also shoot towards the central point from either end of the two lines of sight as well. So there's really three spots on this map that you can reliably get long shots. For our fourth map, Frequency, we have one reliable line of sight. This one is looking across the B flag from either side. There's also another platform behind where you see me standing that will give you an even further distance, so use that when possible. Spawning on C side is better for this line of sight because it puts you in control of giving yourself that extra distance instead of relying on an enemy player to do it. Gridlock, our map number 5. This one is terrible for long shots. I don't like it, though it isn't the worst. If you spawn on A side and run into the left building and peek out the window, this will be your best line of sight for a long shot. I know you might think the landing that overlooks the B flag from C side is good, but it's not that reliable for getting long shots. This one can be done from both sides, but I think it might be best for snipers or attempted on control if you really wanted to do it. People don't often peek out this window or go behind this truck in domination, but this directly overlooks the B point in control. Next up is Hacienda. Once again, the first two lines of sight have a central point, the A flag spawn. This has a car sitting in the spawn that you can use for cover, and it will give you some additional distance. And looking left towards the giant tree or up the ramp to the right will give you long shot distance. You can also attempt a spawn kill from either one of those locations. The next line of sight is in the C spawn. If you run up the right side of the map and then jump into the water, water and swim up towards the boat ramp, you'll have another line of sight for long shots. Map number 7 is Icebreaker. This one actually has 3 lines of sight that I found to work. 2 of them are in both the A and the C flag spawns. You can actually jump into the water on this map and shoot at enemies that are coming down towards you or attempting to spawn kill. I find the C flag to be the better of these two simply because it has more enemy traffic. I've also had some luck with the line of sight from the B flag looking towards A flag. However, it's not 100% reliable. If you're too close or an enemy is hugging the corner pretty tight, it could put them at a range that's too close for a long shot. Next up, and my favorite map for long shots, Jungle. This one has 2 very reliable lines of sight that make long shots really easy. The first of these is at the C flag spawn. You'll want to find this ledge and climb up to the cliff that overlooks B flag. You'll get a long shot even if they are capturing B flag, but there are also easy targets a bit further back. This is a good spot for getting sniper long shots if you're having trouble. If you spawned on A flag, however, you can always check up here for people because it seems to be pretty high traffic. The next line of sight is on the bridge that hangs over B. If you look back towards the right of the C flag, you'll often see enemies that are trying to flank around to A flag. That makes them easy targets because they're often facing away from you. Our next map is Militia. The only line of sight I found on this map that works well was once again at a spawn point. This one is from the A flag. You can either look up the small hill to the right, which is towards the church, or you can look on the left side to the left of the bridge. You can also be at both of those points and shooting down towards the A flag to also get those long shots. My second favorite map for long shots, and the one that actually surprised me with how effective it is, Morocco. Overall, I am not a fan of this map at all. It's just confusing with lower and upper lanes and easy spawn traps. However, this is where the long shots come into play. I found myself prone on the bottom of A spawn and shooting up the stairs at enemies for extremely easy long shots. I even did this with iron sights. I think the mentality here is that players think they can get easy spawn kills by looking down the stairs into A spawn. A second line of sight can be found next to the C flag and looking across their spawn. Even if they spawn and run closer towards the stairs that go up to B flag, that distance still gives you a long shot. Map number 11 is Payload. And once again, we only have lines of sight suitable for long shots that require spawn killing. This is a trend that I'm not really a fan of. This one is pretty straightforward. You just have to make your way to the enemy spawn and shoot them before they get too far out of it. The best one is the C spawn because they are further back and you can more reliably get those long shots. If you're gonna go for the A spawn kills, then I recommend you stay back near the crate. Next up is Seaside. This map has a window to window long shot across the courtyard. I prefer to use the window on the A side and look into the church window because I have more room to back up against the wall behind the pool table and guarantee those long shots. If both players are up against the ledges of the windows, then you won't get a long shot medal. Another line of sight is on the far side of the map next to the B objective in Control. When playing Control, it's actually common for players to be out on this roof, but it's used less often in Domination. Our next map is Slums. Coming from Seaside and going to the right, you'll find a blue van. Now if you look out its passenger window, you'll have a line of sight all the way into the building on the end. The next line of sight is back in the C spawn. If you're coming from near the B flag and going through the cutout towards C, all you have to do is look behind the C flag and there should be enemies coming from over there. You don't want to push all the way up against the red van because the only way you'd get long shots at that point is if they have their backs pressed up against the wall. Now if you're the one spawning on the C flag, you could always go put your back up against the wall and wait for people that will eventually try to come through here. The 14th and final map is Summit. I thought this would be better for long shots for some reason, but there's only one spot I was even able to get it to pop up. That is the narrow lane that faces the back of A spawn, and it's not even that reliable. Players often just take the lane to the left of where I'm looking instead. Honestly, if you land on this map, maybe just work on other headshots or something else that you need. Summit is not great at all for long shots. Now that's all 14 maps. Some maps are clearly better than others, and my recommendations if you're trying to be as fast and efficient as possible when working towards dark matter is to get all of your headshots done first. That way when you end up on either Jungle, Morocco, or Icebreaker, you can attempt to go for the easier long shots and maybe even the sniper ones on these maps. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, leave a like and comment below on which map you found to be the best for getting long shots, or even a line of sight that you found really works that I didn't mention. Subscribe so you don't miss future videos, and I'll see you next time.